You're listening to Fathers Handling Business, where fatherhood meets real talk and real solutions. Here are your hosts, Cali and Donté, ready to dive deep into the art and science of parenting. Let's get started and empower the dad in you.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Yo, how you doing?
Why are you talking like that? Yo. So I'm gonna start off with this story. Chris, I'm not gonna put his name out there. A 24-year-old resident in Augusta was arrested on March 22nd after he left his three young children. I'm not gonna say the ages yet. He left his three young children at a McDonald's restaurant while he went to a nearby job interview. The incident took place, doesn't matter, at the McDonald's, which featured an indoor playground. A concerned customer alerted authorities after noticing that the children were unattended. When a deputy arrived at the scene, the children were still alone. A witness told officers they had seen the guy with the children earlier that afternoon, but had observed him leave the restaurant, return briefly, and then leave again. He eventually returned to the restaurant. So he left around 4:30 and came back at 6:18. So almost 2 hours. At which point he was detained by police. The guy explained that he had walked to the restaurant from his apartment with the children because he didn't own a vehicle. He said he left them there because he didn't want to make them walk back while he attended the job interview. Shortly after, the children's mother arrived and picked him up. My guy was arrested at the scene and charged with deprivation of a minor. What do we think about this? First of all, would you leave your kids at the indoor playground in
No,
2025?
absolutely not.
Okay. In 1985, would you have done this?
I think I was probably left in 1985 at a McDonald's or something.
Yeah, I feel like, that's normal behavior, and for this generation, probably not so much. So now, was he justified? Now, he had a good reason, okay? He had to go to a job interview, didn't have anybody to watch his kids. So, did the did the end justify the means?
No, here,
Good
It's-
father, terrible father.
I think confused father.
Confused father.
Confused father. Here's
Okay.
here's the thing,
He's 24 with three kids.
right? And in the story,
And hold
they
on.
have a mother. The mother's not dead.
The mother's not dead. He's 20. Hold on. I just did the math in my head. So I didn't say how old the kids were, but the oldest kid is 10.
Mm-hmm.
24.
Yeah.
So you're probably right, confused.
Yes.
Okay? Because if he had his kid at 14
Mm-hmm.
and he's got a 10-year-old, it may not be his. It has to be his kid. There's no way that the mother would leave three kids with the father who's not the actual father.
I don't know. We don't know.
We don't know. But we know he's a young pops. At least one of these has to be his kid. So it's a 10-year-old. Now, full stop, I would leave my 10-year-old at an indoor playground for an hour.
In 2025.
In 2025, yes. Like at a Chick-fil-A indoor playground.
You notice he
at a
said Chick-fil-A
McDonald's.
and not McDonald's?
I
Oh,
know, at a McDonald's, you
Okay.
know, I don't, not like if it was like a shady area or whatever, like if it's in the hood somewhere. Like I have no idea, where this was, but I would feel comfortable leaving my kid at an indoor playground at 10 years old. Okay,
10 years old.
At 10 years old. Now there's multiple kids. There's three of them.
Right.
Now there's a 10-year-old and a 6-year-old. Now, I would feel comfortable leaving my 10-year-old and my 6-year-old at an indoor playground for an hour. Okay? I would feel comfortable in 2025.
In 2025.
Like I said, unless this was like a McDonald's in a shady area, in an area that I know for a fact it's, going down, I wouldn't mind. Now,
All right, I'm on a man.
go ahead.
Let's just throw some cities out there so the listeners can.
Well, every city has good parts and bad parts.
That's true.
So that's not
true.
really, we're not gonna blanket a city because every city has good parts and bad
That's
parts. Like
true.
people talk so bad about Memphis, but I've been to Memphis. Memphis got some nice parts, bro.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I know it's like the M Myrtle, yeah. But if you go over to that part, then yeah. But like I was cool in Memphis. Like I was like, yo, this is nice. You know what I'm saying? Just like people say things about LA, but yeah, if you go to the jungles, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like if you go to them areas, then of course. But every city got nice spots, so I'm not gonna blanket a city like that. And like I said, this is in Augusta, Georgia, I guess. I have no idea what their places look like, but I would feel comfortable. A 10-year-old and a 6-year-old, right? Because they're my kids. I raised them. I know that they're responsible. My 10-year-old is gonna be responsible for my 6-year-old. They're just gonna be in there playing around. You know what I'm saying? Going up, doing the jungle gym.
That's the thing. That's the thing. So let's take the other child out of here.
Okay.
And we're just focusing on the 10-year-old and the 6-year-old right now.
Correct.
A 10-year-old is not necessarily going to be looking out for the 6-year-old 100% of the time. They're going to be, like you just said, they're going to be playing.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
A 6-year-old may wander off, may get thirsty, may want to go inside and get some water. Like, you have to think about all these things.
Mm-hmm.
There are some crazy people in this world
Mm-hmm.
who lurk around
Mm-hmm.
these type of restaurants that have indoor playgrounds like this, just so that they can snatch them up.
This is all true.
Okay, so that's putting a lot on the 10-year-old to even look out for the 6-year-old.
Correct. Now, I said I would do this knowing my kids, knowing I raised them, right? And my 10-year-old would be responsible enough to look out for the 6-year-old because he knows that's what daddy would want, right? And so yes, he's playing. Yes, the kid may need to go to the bathroom. Like they know, like don't go to the bathroom without each other. You know what I'm saying? Don't, if you need to get some water, here go, $5, y'all can go, or I probably would have already got them a drink or something. You know what I'm saying? Here go, go fill it up at the thing, but y'all stay together. Y'all don't leave this place without each other, right?
Right.
Okay. So I would feel comfortable, right? Leaving for an hour. Now, to this young man's detriment, there was another child.
Right.
And this child was a 1-year-old.
1
years old. That's where I draw the line. That's crazy. That's out of control. Now, a 1-year-old should never be left alone, period. Just like period, point blank, because they can barely walk. Let's just say it's an advanced 1-year-old and he's already walking.
Right.
Okay, but if he's walking, he's toddling.
Yeah, there's no way.
There's no way you can leave a 1-year-old for 10 minutes. I don't care how responsible the 10-year-old and the 6-year-old are. They can watch them for a little bit at the house, but
I wouldn't even leave a 1-year-old at the house with my 10 or 6-year-old. I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't do that either. Like I would check the mail, maybe. Watch your brother or sister, while I go check the mail.
Nope. Man, I don't know.
Yeah, 1-year-old is crazy. Like I don't know all the specifics, but the 1-year-old would have had to been in a stroller, right?
You mean at the McDonald's?
At the McDonald's.
Nah.
Like he would have had to been like sitting in a stroller. There's no way that the 1-year-old was in the balls playing.
Could, maybe.
And that makes it even worse because that means that there's other kids in there just sliding down, kicking the 1-year-old in the face, and
Yeah, when you think about a 1-year-old, you got to think about changing, feeding,
Yeah.
injuries, getting snatched up, like all the things, getting hurt, like crying uncontrollably for sometimes no apparent reason. It's for a reason. They cry for a reason, but
Right.
it could be gas bubbles, whatever. They cry for everything because they can't speak.
Correct. Yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah. 4:30 to 6:18. So almost 2 hours. Yeah, that's egregious.
There's no way.
That's egregious. Yeah. I think confused is a good word to use. And like I said, we're talking about the most advanced 1-year-old in the world. Like he can say a couple words. He can talk. I mean walk. You know what I'm saying? Like I know I have two 1-year-olds in my life right now. My little cousin's daughter and my nephew. Right?
Yeah.
They're both around one.
Yeah, and this doesn't even say it could be. He could be one. The child could be 1.5. You know what I'm saying? So almost 2. We don't know.
Yeah, he could be almost 2. So that's what I'm saying. He's probably walking. Let's just
Yeah.
give him the benefit of the doubt that he's at least walking.
But that's
he's still toddling.
Yeah, it still doesn't justify leaving a 1-year-old.
Yeah, you can't leave a child who can't talk for themselves.
Yeah, this one is unfortunate. I don't know if I would do that. Well, I know for sure I wouldn't do that.
Right.
But even still, like I wouldn't leave my 1-year-old by themselves anywhere. I wouldn't leave my 6-year-old by themselves anywhere. My 10-year-old, I could leave at home for a very short period of time. I'm talking like 10, 15 minutes max. Like max. There ain't no way I'm leaving them longer than that.
But it's like he's trying to go get the job interview
I
to better his family.
I understand.
Right? So it's like, like I see where he was going with this, but also you just got to plan that out better.
Got to plan better.
Like you had to have known that the interview was coming up. You didn't find out just that day.
Correct.
Right? Maybe he did, but most likely not. You know.
He had a better chance at going to a fire department or even a police department, telling them their situation, saying, "Look, this is I don't want to leave my kids, but I have to go to this job interview. I have no one to watch my kids right now. I desperately need this job." And so
They do that at fire departments? I never heard of that before.
No, but you can leave a newborn at the fire department and
Really?
yeah,
That's the thing?
absolutely.
What?
Yes.
You can. So the fire department
Because
is
so many people throw their babies away.
so the fire department is like a child care center.
Not a child care. I'm
Like
not
we can
saying
just
that
drop them off.
I'm not. Well, you can drop them off and then they'll find a placement for the baby. I'm talking.
Oh, got you. Well, yeah. I mean, he didn't want to give his child up to the system.
Right. No, and I'm not saying to do that. I'm saying you have a better shot at leaving your children in a safe environment by doing that and explaining yourself.
Right.
Right? As opposed to leaving them at McDonald's playground area for 2 hours. Ain't no way. There's no way I would do it.
Yeah. I mean, I was about to get on the customer who alerted authorities, but you can't even be mad at the person who alerted authorities because it's not like he said, "I'll be back." You might have just thought he abandoned the kids. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
we saw him come, we saw him leave, and then he was gone. Like we've been waiting here for like a half hour, 45 minutes, and he hasn't shown up. Yeah,
Right.
like I probably would have sat there like, okay, what's going on here? Is he trying to abandon him? Like, what is he doing?
Right.
So
Shout out to the customer. I mean, I don't know what this customer was doing there that whole entire time at a
yeah,
McDonald's.
because they knew the timestamps and everything, and so maybe the customer was actually looking out.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I can't even blame them because, yeah, like what are you supposed to do? Like you don't know if the guy's coming back. Like
Right.
you don't know his situation. Obviously,
I would have did the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, if you saw that, yeah, I guess you would have had to do the same thing. Can't even be mad at them. Like, I see some of the comments people are saying like, oh, why did they have to, call the cops and blah blah blah. But it's like, what can you do in that situation? You don't know the full spectrum of what's in his head. So it could just be child abandonment, and you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know. So interesting.
And I know he's a young father, and this is not an excuse, but he's not thinking about all the things that the children can experience during that time he's gone.
Right.
Like the abandonment.
He probably told him. I'm sure he told the 10-year-old, "I will be back."
Oh yeah.
I'm sure he told the 10 and the 6-year-old, "Y'all be good. Y'all watch y'all little brother or sister. I will be back." I'm sure he didn't just like dip.
Right.
Like,
but now, since the police are called, and he's detained,
yeah,
because of this situation,
Yeah.
now they have a traumatic experience. Now it's trauma for them.
yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
And why wasn't the mom involved?
Well, I'm sure. I'm purely. This is purely conjecture, but if this happened, this says to me that he gets the kids for a certain amount of time, and or the mom was at work, and they probably don't have the best of relationships. So he was like, I need to go to this job interview, but I don't want to call her because she's gonna be in my face or yelling at me or blah blah blah. And so I'm just gonna go do this real quick and come right back. I'm sure he didn't feel like he was gonna be gone for 2 hours.
This is all speculation. We don't know this for sure.
This is all speculation, but just as a father, you know what I'm saying, and I've dealt with a lot of baby mamas, not my own, but I'm saying I've dealt with a lot of situations with fathers and baby mamas, and I know the psyche of a father that has his children. He doesn't want to call the mom for nothing because it's gonna be a problem, right? Like she's gonna be, why you ain't in this, and why, you know what I'm saying? He's gonna get that, and it's almost like I'd rather just do this real quick, not involve her, and then I'm sure it just got out of hand. Like I'm sure he didn't intend to be gone for 2 hours.
Right.
And maybe he's done it before where he just left them there, went somewhere and came right back and it wasn't an issue. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm sure he won't do that again. But
Hopefully
to
not.
speak on something that's a little bit more deeper is like the intentionality, right? Like the intentionality of knowing how your kids are affected by your decisions, right? We talked a little bit earlier about, the love that we don't know if these kids are girl or boys, but, the love that you show, the love that you give can really have an effect on your kids later on, right? And how they act as teenagers and as they grow up. And like you said, this may have caused a traumatic experience. You want to talk a little bit more on that?
Yes. Well, without diving too deep into that on this episode, we'll save a lot of that for another episode. But yeah, so for instance, this man, hopefully he verbalized at least to the 6-year-old and the 10-year-old what his intentions are, like you said, right?
Right.
Hey, I want you guys to stay here, be in your best behavior, look out for your whatever the 1-year-old name was. Daddy has to go and to a job interview. I need to get this job. I want you guys to stay here, play, behave yourself. I'm going to walk there and walk back. It'll be quick, right? But did he ask, like, if they were okay? Are they okay with that plan? Right? And maybe they were. Maybe they're like, oh, yeah, we get to play. Like, maybe they didn't care at first.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And maybe they don't have real concept of time.
Correct.
And maybe he didn't know how long he was going to be gone.
I'm sure he didn't think he was going to be gone for no 2 hours.
So a lot of that comes into play when in this whole entire situation. I think his intentions were good. He intended to make a better life for his family. He intended to, you know,
And again, this is all speculation because this is what he said and told the officers, right?
Right.
Like for all we know, he could have went to another chick's house. You know what I'm saying? Like for all we know, you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it could have been. I saw somebody in the comments say, you know, look, we need to check to make sure that an interview was actually had and
Right.
that he actually went to the interview, right? So I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt because I would have hoped that, you know, if I was in that situation, that somebody would give me the benefit of the doubt. Like, yo, my intentions were to go do this and come right back.
Right.
So I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
That's what he said happened. He went to a job interview and it just took longer. And that's a real thing. Like
Yeah.
you never know.
The biggest thing is making sure the kids are okay after this situation.
Yeah.
So making sure that if this was a traumatic experience for them, getting them the proper help. If this, and if it wasn't great, you know what I mean? Like the 1-year-old hopefully doesn't have any effects from it. But for the 6 and 10-year-old, hopefully they get help from it. But I feel like this is a huge wake-up call for just communities in general. So you've heard the term, it takes a village,
Yes, sir.
right? I'm a firm believer in that. I've watched so many people's kids because they had to work or because they had to do something and they weren't able to watch their kids, or school was out and, you know, one of those weird, like, oh, like teachers, whatever day, no school today. And it's just like, oh, great. Like, who's going to watch my kids?
Mm-hmm.
And I've been the one to step up and watch people's kids for them. Because I'm a firm believer that it takes a village to raise just one kid. And I saw in the comments, like, it says we need to get our villages back in our communities.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like this reigns 1,000% true. Like, when you, and this should be even a topic of conversation before you even lay down with somebody. Like, hey, who's going to be our village?
Hold up, bruh. So you're saying, and I don't disagree with you, but I feel like that's the education piece that we're missing, right? And maybe we're not missing it because this new generation, they like, we're not having kids.
Yeah, they're having kids way later, or not at all.
Or not at all. They like, and maybe that's the part that, you know, they have been educated to the point where they're like, you know, I see what's going on, you know, and I don't want that for me,
Right.
you know, which is dope. You know what I'm saying? They're having these conversations like you said, who's going to be our village? How are we going to raise kids? How are we going to, who's going to pay for these kids? You know, I think that the pendulum has swung a little bit too far, you know, as, you know, there's always a overcorrection. You know what I'm saying? There's people who are on the opposite end of the spectrum, like, it costs so much to take care of a kid. How am I going to afford it? It's
Right.
blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, calm down. Like, people were taking care of kids with way less money,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, and making it work. And, you know, obviously kids don't know that they're poor until you tell them that.
Right.
You know, and a lot of them don't know that they're poor until they grow up and be like, dang, we didn't have XYZ and XYZ, but, you know, you just live with what you got.
Right.
So sometimes there's an overcorrection, but I agree with you, you know, before you lay down with somebody, you know, there's a possibility that a child could pop out of this. I don't care how many condoms you got. I don't care how many, you know, birth control pills, because there's been children on both of those things.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a testament to that. You know, my first son, I had a Jimmy on tight, and that don't mean nothing.
Right.
You know.
So I mean, yeah, we gotta talk about these things. It's okay to talk about these things. Like you just we gotta be smart.
Right.
We gotta be smart.
Right. Got to learn from our mistakes.
Yeah. Learn from other people's mistakes too.
That's exactly what I meant to say. Not our mistakes. We got to learn from other people's mistakes, our forefathers' mistakes, our ancestors. You know, and that's how we push forward. That's how we move forward.
Right.
But yeah, the intentionality there, we gonna give this. I'm with them, but also I'm like, you got to plan that out better. You
Yeah.
just got to plan it out better.
And I know there's probably different, there are probably different laws for different states in terms of how old you can leave a child alone. I don't know if it's like how long can you leave a child alone at home versus out in public.
Right.
I know this one was 1,000% wrong because you left a 1-year-old.
Yeah, the 1-year-old. Like I said, if it was a 10 and 6-year-old, like I wouldn't even see nothing wrong with this. I wouldn't even bat an eye. But the 1-year-old is crazy, like you said. The 1-year-old.
And there were just things that, I mean, my daughter's 9, right?
Mm-hmm.
4th grade. I remember in 4th grade. So in 4th grade, these are the things that I was doing. Growing up in Oakland, right?
Old town.
Like, I kid you not, this was what I had to do on a daily basis. I would wake up, make breakfast,
Okay.
usually an omelet,
Okay.
okay?
Sounds good.
I probably wasn't supposed to do it, but I did it anyway. I watched VR Troopers in the morning.
Okay.
And then I walked to school with my friends.
Okay.
School was about maybe a mile away. A mile?
It's kind of a long walk.
Yeah.
Okay.
A mile away, or maybe a mile and a half. I don't know. It took us like a good 15 to 20 minutes to walk. So
That's about a mile.
That's about a mile, right?
Yeah, that's about a mile.
Yeah.
Little legs.
Okay. So after school,
Okay.
walk home.
Okay.
The first thing and it had to be done in this order. I had to make sure my bed was made. I could have did it before I left to school.
Okay.
But it had to be made before my mama got home
Okay.
from work. I had to make sure her bed was made.
Okay.
I know. Had to make sure the entire apartment was vacuumed.
Okay.
The kitchen was clean. And then I could start my homework.
Okay.
Right? Oh, the bathroom too. I don't know if I said the bathroom. The bathroom.
Yeah.
Vacuum the whole house.
Pretty standard stuff. Okay.
Then I can start my homework.
Okay.
And then finish my homework. Then I can go outside and play with my friends.
Okay.
Now, mind you,
She's not there for none of this.
no, not at all.
Okay. Yeah.
And there was always the rule, like you got to come in the house before what?
Before the lights come on.
Right.
Before the street lights. Yeah.
And then Mom Dukes came home, made dinner, and that was that. That was 4th grade and on.
Right.
In Oakland.
Okay. Right.
I could never in a million years imagine my daughter, and we live a mile away from my daughter's school,
Okay.
would never do it.
Yeah. But that's because we have social media now. I don't think that the threats are any more prevalent than they were back then. It's just that we see it more now. Like we're more aware of it than we were. Like I looked this up a while ago. Like the statistics of child robberies, child robberies,
Abduction?
child abductions and kidnappings is not necessarily more higher. It is more higher because we have more people, right? So when you have more people, there's going to be more crime, more, everything goes up when there's more people. But the actual stats are around the same. So there are child abductions happening then. There were kidnappings happening then.
Well, it's funny you said child robbery at first because
I know I said child robbery. And there was child robberies.
Yes. Well, I was robbed as a kid.
Exactly. There were a lot more.
Multiple times.
Yeah. And when we were growing up, there was a lot more gang activity.
Right.
Right? Than there is now. There was a lot higher chance of me getting robbed, shot, banged on, you know what I'm saying, when I was growing up in LA than there is now.
Right.
Right? Probably in Oakland too.
Oh yeah.
It was probably not the adults that you should have been scared of.
No, it wasn't.
It was the children.
It was the older kids.
It was the older kids, right? So I don't think that the threat level was any different than it is now. We're just more aware of it now, right? And so we wouldn't do that because of our fear, not because of the threat has changed.
Well, here's the thing. In today's world, in 2025, the child sex trafficking is way more prevalent now than it has ever been.
We're aware of it. There was child sex trafficking in the Bible days, so we're aware of
Yes,
it more
I understand that. We are aware of it now, but
now. You don't remember all those milk cartons?
yes,
You know what I'm saying?
I
Like
do.
it was there. It was always there. It never left. It was always there. It's just that now we're more aware of it. But go ahead.
But I'm saying it is now monetized to a whole nother level. So
Okay.
now, people are. It's a job. It is a job to go get children because you can get paid to hand over these kids to these sick people who will then sex traffic them.
And that's always been. That's all. That's my only point. Is that that's always been. It's just that we are a lot more aware of it now. But that's neither here nor there. I understand that in the year of our Lord 2025, with the age of social media, the age of you know, everybody being hyper aware, right? That it is probably not the best idea to leave your kids, you know, in places by themselves.
Right.
Like as we were left to our own devices.
Yes, crazy.
You know what I'm saying? Like we just were, you know. And that's not to say that kids are not like that now. You know, it's just that in certain areas, and as parents, you know, we're just a little bit more aware, or a lot more aware,
A lot more aware. Yeah.
a lot more aware. And so, you know, we think about all the things that could happen because we've seen all the things that can happen because we read the stories, we see the posts, we see, you know, the social media and the news and the blah 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 blah, a lot more than we used to. So, you know, I get you. I'm sure you wouldn't wouldn't do that.
Nah, never.
But you would leave your kids at the crib, right?
Yeah. I could leave my kids at the crib. Go to the store. Like
Right.
they're fine.
Right. They're
Yeah.
fine. Right. And I think somebody said in comments like 10 is the age where you can actually babysit other kids
Really?
in Georgia.
Oh shoot! In Georgia.
In
Okay.
Georgia, because every
Yeah.
state has different
laws. Yeah.
has different laws.
Yeah, my
especially
son
when it
has
comes
been
to that.
saying like he wants to start babysitting.
Right.
Yeah.
He's 12 though, so I think
He's 12,
I
so
think you can
he
do
said
that
he
in
wants to
California.
start at 13.
Oh, at 13.
That's what he said.
Yeah. So I think I don't know what it is for California, but I know some states are like 12, 13. Some states are like 15, 16. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sure you would have to look up whatever the state says. But intentionality is the name of the game. Preparation is the name of the game. Like if he would have just prepared and had a plan, you
Right.
know, had a better plan. I'm sure he had a plan, but he needed a better plan.
Yeah.
A better plan. That didn't land him. Hopefully, you know, he got the job. Hopefully he didn't get set back by this.
Right.
And hopefully the baby moms didn't well she chewed them out 100%. She chewed them out. Cuz she had to go pick up the kids.
Yeah.
So I know 100% she chewed them out. So the thing that he most feared, not saying that he most feared, but the thing that he didn't want to happen, because obviously he didn't want to involve her because he didn't tell her about this. Like, hey, can you watch the kids for an hour while I go to this interview?
Again, all speculation.
All speculation, but knowing what I know about, and yes, he was a young black father. Knowing what I know about young black fathers, I'm sure that was the case.
Yeah.
And again, a 10-year-old at 24, that's wild. He started early.
He did.
He started early.
Yep. We got to do better as parents in making sure we talk to our kids about, you know, these type of things as well. So we're not having 14-year-olds with kids.
With kids.
Yeah.
Amen. Amen to that. I thank God that my kids learn from my mistakes and they're in their 20s and don't have any kids.
Not mistakes, decisions. Because
From
your
my
kids are not
decisions.
mistakes.
Exactly. Thank you for correcting me. They learn from, well, my kids are not mistakes, but the things that led up to them were mistakes. Like they were definitely decisions, but they were not the decisions. They weren't the godly decisions, so they were mistakes, right? Obviously, my kids are not the mistakes, but Anyway, they learned from my past decisions, and I praise God that they're on a different path. But it all comes with education, and it comes with intentionality. I was intentional about letting them know, like, this is what I did, and this is the outcome.
Right.
Right. This is it.
Yeah.
So if you don't want this life, then do something different.
Yeah. We need more conversations like that.
Right.
With our children.
Exactly. So that's our show for today. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us today. This is Fathers Handling Business. I'm Cali, that's Donté, and we'll holla at y'all next week.
Peace.
Peace.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. We hope you found our discussion enlightening and empowering as you navigate the rewarding journey of fatherhood. Don't forget to follow us on socials, join the conversation, and share your own experiences. We're here to support and inspire each other, one episode at a time. Until next time, keep empowering the dad in you.